I'm Irene. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, and what I currently do now is health and wellness. I met Christie about 10 years ago through the Love and Above program online, and then about 6 years ago I met her again while I was going through a health crisis, and I was at some mutual friends, some other personal development friends that we both know, and it was a small intimate setting, and I started listening to her Unlimited Abundance program, and that's where it started to really get, I mean, it's funny because she talks about, I'm one that slept with Christie. Because I listened to her every night consistently, where before it was like when I had time, but I was traveling a lot, working a lot, so getting sick was probably the biggest blessing in my life now, but at the time it was the most horrifying experience that I went through. And so through meeting with Christie, I started to do the energy work, and I went to several different MDs, both locally and around the world. I went to Australia to go travel to find a doctor. I went to Europe. I went all over the place to try to find help. And it wasn't until I started working with this team of doctors, these holistic doctors, and working with the energy work of Christie's program that I'm like sitting here today, because there were many days where I was just like in bed and couldn't move, and and I didn't even want to live in certain points because it was just so bad. For years, I had a great job. I traveled the world, I ate food, and I worked with people, all the things that I loved to do. And for some reason, I just got knocked on my butt and just was flat out on my back for years. And then it was that actually I started working with different doctors, different healers, and at that point, before I actually did the program a lot, like actually worked the program, it was, like I said, I got really sick, and it was a huge slew of symptoms that I had, and nobody could help me until I started really doing the work myself. So it was a bunch of different things that really actually helped it, but doing the internal work and doing it consistently really helped. What would it take? I did what would it take for so many different things, and I'm doing it right now actually this weekend too, because so it came from not being able to work. I was in bed for several years, and I had to use all the money that I saved. So I was very adamant in my 20s and 30s that I wanted to be a millionaire before I was 40, and I did it. But then I spent all that money that I made on my health. And so I was in a really fear state, because I'm like, oh my gosh, it took me so long to make that money, and it took like so much sacrifice and the amount of work that it took to do that. And so I was in this fear base thinking like, I'm never gonna make that money back. there's no way. And then when I met Christie is when she's like, what would it take if that just money came back like tenfold? And I'm like, oh, that's a nice thought. And that just was like, okay, yeah, that'd be a great idea. And so like today, I'm there. Like today, I'm like a half an inch away from closing a deal that is like the biggest deal I've ever had in my life, ever. So, and I think it'll happen like after this weekend. How can it not, right? so yeah. So what would it take is the biggest, and connecting to the light. I think that whenever I get like anxiety, I used to have a lot of fear and anxiety, but now it's just being able to connect like really quick. It doesn't even take a long time. Like, I don't know the specific blocks that they were. I just know that the tools that I use now just I don't even care what blocks they are. Like, I don't know exactly what blocks they are, but I just know that through the tools, like when I experience the symptoms of anxiety or fear or shame or any of those low vibration energies, I have the tools now to be able to address it. My toolbox is very full, extremely full. Immediately in some sense, but I think it took the consistency of sleeping with Christie every night for like 2 years, where it was like jump leveling, you know. It was just, there was immediate results that you feel, but then it was incremental leaps and bounds that happened through the years. And I think it's just staying consistent with the work is what made all the difference in the world for me. I'm just sitting here today going from a list of 25 symptoms to not being able to get out of bed, to having the worst pain, having like welts on my face that were like just all blistery and gross, to sitting here now and knowing without a doubt in my mind that this mecca of a health center is in creation and it's gonna happen. I mean, that's unbelievable to have a place for people like me who went through all of this And it took me 6 years to go through it. But now having this place where people could go and it will be quick, like Christie's programs are, where it took me a while to find her and find the different tools that I use to get to my health center state right now. But now being able to have one place where anybody who's feeling that could be taking advantage of all these different things together and having it heal.